All right, so now we're going to look at dividing decimals. So you should know how to divide numbers long division. And once again, you'll have your calculator. So the main thing is making sure when you put these in your calculator, you put them in correctly. So this is 52.7 divided by a negative 0.3. Okay, so same thing applies with the negatives. We've got an odd number of negatives, so our outcome is going to be negative. Okay, so we can set it up. Now the second number is called the divisor. That's what's going into the first number. And so this one's pretty easy to just know to put in your calculator. 52.7 divided by negative 0.3. When you do it under the bracket, it's going to look like this. The divisor goes in front, and the dividend, or the number that's being divided, goes under the bracket. So now, once we have this set up, we want to make sure the divisor is a whole number. So we're going to move that decimal over until we get a whole number. So in this case, we only have to move it over once. Now, to keep everything the same, if we move the divisor over, the decimal on the divisor over 1, we have to move the decimal over 1 on the dividend too. So now this would be negative 3 into 527. Let me move that down. Okay, so we get rid of the decimals. It makes it look a whole lot easier. And we're going to continue this until either it repeats or it terminates. So 3 can go into 5 once. So 3 times 1 is going to give us 3. Remainder is 2. We bring down our next value, 2. So 3 can go into 22 7 times. So that would be 21. Remainder is 1. Bring down our next value, 7. And 3 can go into 17 5 times, which is 15. And that's going to be 2. Okay, so now we can always just add a bunch of zeros after any number. But I notice I put the decimal first because now we've got a bunch of zeros, but they all come after the decimal point. And now it gives us something to bring down. If we've hit our decimal here, we also have to put our decimal up right here. So now we bring down the 0. Negative 3 can go into 26 times, giving us 18, 2, and then this will bring down our next 0. And what we'll see is that it's going to continue to be 6. So 6 is repeating. We note that with a little bar above it. And there we're finished. We've carried it until it repeated. Okay, so just note here, this is just giving you more information to make sure how you set it up when we're talking dividend and divisor. So fractions, you'll notice, are just the dividend divided by the divisor. Okay, and that quotient is the term for the outcome of dividing two numbers. Okay, and then once again, it shows the setup here. Your answer goes on top of the bracket, the divisor's out in front of the bracket, and the dividend is under the bracket. So our next example, so a car drives 21.6 miles in 2.7 hours. How many miles does it travel each hour? So the 21.6 miles is our dividend. That's what we're dividing. And we're dividing it by our hours, which is 2.7. Okay, so this is how you'd write it. Now to solve it, I'm going to put it in this form for under the bracket. Once again, we have a decimal for our dividend. So we're going to move that decimal over, because when dividing, you want a whole number as your divisor. So what we do to the outside, we have to do to the same number under the bracket, and it's only one time over. So now we have 27 can go into 216. Well, 27 can go into 216 8 times. So 8 times 5 is 56. Carry the 5. 7 times, carry the 5. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 5 is 21. Okay, and what we notice, this one goes to 0 and terminates. We do have a bunch of zeros here that we could bring down, but since we're at 0, we don't need to continue any further. So there we have our answer. They're going 8 miles per hour. Okay, so on the story problems, make sure we know what our dividend in is and what our divisor is. Okay, and this box just kind of shows what I did. I moved it over. They show that you're multiplying both sides by 10. If you do that, you're still going to get the same answer. Okay, so last example here. Okay, so negative 3.71 divided by 8.2. Okay, so we have one negative number, so our answer is going to be negative. Okay, so we need to bring our decimal over because we want a whole number as our dividend. We're going to bring our decimal under for our dividend, our divisor, we need a whole number, so we bring it over 1. We have to bring our decimal over 1 for our dividend as well. So now this is the same as 82 can go into 37.1. And that's a negative 37.1. So our answer is negative. Okay, and if you notice, our divisor is bigger than our dividend. So you still can set it up that way. You don't always divide the larger number by the smaller number. This just means that our outcome is going to be less than 1, meaning that it'll start with a 0 point. Okay, so looking, 82 cannot go into 37, so it goes in 0 times, and then already we're at our decimal. So then we have to go to 371, and I'm just going to say that's going to be, I'm going to try 4. 82 times 4. Actually, I'm going to do 5. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1, 36. Okay, so 82 can go into 371 5 times, giving us 160. So then we're going to be left with 11. Okay, and then once again we can add these infinite number of zeros. Oops. So bring down the 0. Okay, 82 can go into 110 2 times. Nope, sorry, not 2 times, that's just once. 82, so then 110 minus 82 is going to be 28. So then bring down another 0. Oh. Okay, and so that can go in 3 times, which is going to give us 3 times 2 is 6, and then 24. So this one hasn't terminated yet, so we keep going until it does, or in this case I'm just going to round to the nearest thousandth, which is this place value, and this gives us our value right here. So once again, you can use your calculators on this, but this is going through the steps on how to set this up by hand, and that's dividing, how you divide decimals.